everybody, welcome back to another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News, the show that may or may not be 5 minutes. Today in the news, since I'm still all hype on Final Fantasy 16 from yesterday, we've got some updates on the game directly from Yoshida-san, and more importantly, some thoughts on the future of the franchise. Because people have been thinking maybe 16's too high of a number, and it's time to get rid of the Roman numerals. This all comes from a recent interview in GQ UK, where the Final Fantasy 16 producer shared. That's actually something I've discussed with the higher-ups. Maybe it's about time we remove the numbers from the title. For example, you have Final Fantasy 14. You get a new player coming, and it's like, wait a minute. Why do I have to play Final Fantasy 14 if 16 is out? He continued, whether Final Fantasy 17 or 18 should have a number or not, that's going to be on whoever has to develop the game and whoever's in charge of the branding, so that's their problem, not ours. And once again, Yoshi P continues to come off as just like a normal average gamer dude. I don't know what his private life is like, but his public persona is just like, he seems like me when I think about video games, and I love that kind of stuff. It is a question that I've asked numerous times that you have asked me, like, if I want to play Final Fantasy, do I have to play all the others? Does the 16 matter? Why am I going to choose 16 over 15 over 14? Like, I get it. I understand why it can be confusing. I've dealt with it for as long as I've played Final Fantasies. And when it comes to the actual release of Final Fantasy 16 over on Game Informer, they've got an article about how they don't want to have to do a day one patch, which is just so refreshing, but also, you know, something that most people should want to not have to do. Game director Hiroshi Takai gave a few reasons as to why this would be. The first is the team is confident in its final build of Final Fantasy 16. The second is that he and Yoshi P and the rest of Creative Business Unit 3 believe the game should be ready to go at launch, recognizing that not everyone has access to the internet needed to download a day one patch in light of Final Fantasy 16's global simultaneous release. And yeah, they're still gonna look for bugs and various issues, and if they have to do one, I'm sure they will, but they don't want to do one. And I think that is the key, is they actively are trying to prevent it from happening, which is something more dev teams and publishers need to get on. Because, yeah, in the last X number of years, as far back as I can remember, most big major releases have had to have a day one patch, which just seems weird, stupid, insane. I don't know. What's the right word there? You let me know down below. But when it comes to the Final Fantasy numerology, I guess we'll say, I am kind of torn on it. Yes, I absolutely understand that once you start getting to like 16, 17, 18, it becomes a little goofy and ridiculous. But also, they have other games that are not mainline Final Fantasy games, like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles and World of Final Fantasy and, you know, like Chocobo's Dungeon. There's Final Fantasy Tactics. There's all these different versions that exist out there. But the ones that are numbered are kind of like the mainline games, and you know those are the mainline games because they're numbered. So I don't know. I don't know what you would do in this situation. Again, that's what the comments are for. What do you think? I'm fine with them keeping it. But if they're going to get rid of it, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm so upset they're ruining it. It's whatever. I am curious, though, because it does seem like something they would have to address eventually. Because, you know, when there's like Final Fantasy 30, just think about it for a minute. What the hell's that game gonna be? Speaking of games with numbers, yep, that's a segue. We've learned a little bit more about the upcoming Marvel Spider-Man 2 that we're gonna see, hopefully, in this week's PlayStation Showcase. During a panel at the SAC Anime Convention last September, Naji Jeter was asked if the sequel would support co-op, to which he replied, I don't know if it's been announced or not, but I think so. However, when asked on Twitter if the game will be a co-op title, Insomniac quickly shot down the speculation. Nope, it's just an epic single-player adventure, the studio said. Which, you know, is kind of a shame because 2 Spider-Man, 2 in the title, practically begs to be co-op. I understand it's not needed, but it's fun, and, you know, I'm all for fun things, even if it's something that would probably cost a lot of money and time to make work well. I'm fine with a single player game. It's all right with me. I'm gonna play it single player anyway, but just the option would be fun. But yeah, as long as there are less of those Mary Jane stealth missions, I'll be okay with whatever the hell we get. And then we head to the world of Ubisoft, where we finally may be actually kind of getting information on this big open world, open universe Star Wars game that has been in the works forever. While detailing their slate of upcoming releases in a recent investor call, Ubisoft mentioned another large game would be releasing before the end of the fiscal year. And according to sources, the other game is allegedly this upcoming Star Wars title. According to Kotaku, Project Helix, as it's known internally, is being developed with Massive as the lead studio. Best known for the Division 1 and 2 military loot shooters, creative director Julian Garrity said, at the time, the Star Wars game would be a big departure from the series and totally different from the sorts of games Massive had worked on in the past. And other than that, no one knows a damn thing. It's all speculation about, like, it possibly having some No Man's Sky vibes or like Mandalorian vibes, or no one knows. No one knows. What we do know is that fiscal year 2023 extends into 2024. It's like the first little bit of 2024. So this could be a February 2024 release. And if we're going to get any information, it'll probably be this June. I think their show's the 12th. Whatever day it is, we will get information about this, if they have it, that day, when all the game dev teams and all the publishers out there start dropping everything during that June 8th through 13th period. And so I cannot wait to find out if this is a real thing or not. Anyway, speaking of a real thing, these segues are getting bad. We got some real vidges for you over on Cox Clips. Played a bunch of game demos, a few horror games, a few like goofy weird games. I played the new Don't Nod game demo, which is like wildly good, and it'll be up over there. We're just gonna start releasing them this week. Thanks so much. I'll see y'all tomorrow for another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News.